half of the day, first of all, I'm retired, but first half of the day, 4 hours, put that 4 chairs together. It's like you know, when you put like a door handle on, you gotta line them, and it's like every screw is like that. You just could see, you could.
First of all, we're tired.
4 hours. Yeah, terrible.
4 hours.
Yeah.
It's like you.
Working.
It's working.
Then I had a door lock downstairs. That had she wanted a keypad one on. And what worked.
Thank you.
The people that owned the house before had the regular door knob was up and the deadbolt was down. And I'm sitting there, what's going on? Couldn't figure it out. I went upstairs and I looked at one of the doors upstairs. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So my retired day was about 8 hours of 4 chairs and one door. It's like, well, good. Then I had to drill out, make it a bigger hole in there for the deadbolt and everything else. It was a good day.
Yeah, I've had a few of those last couple of weeks, just,
Nothing's ever fun. No, it's ever easy.
no, we remodeled our sunroom and pulled away. Hey, what do you think you're ever gonna want a TV on with? Never in a million years, can't stand it. So, well, if there's ever a chance now. Before we drywall, let's just pull wire, get it. 2 days after drywall is done, you know what would be good? TV.
Yep.
Yeah, it was not fun, but we got it, luckily. Found a really long drill that was an extended
Oh,
like
perfect,
3
good.
foot, but it was still, because there was insulation, because it was an exterior wall, it just kept finding. Well, 5 hours to get those 2 holes drilled, wire pulled,
Yep.
but it's done, turned out good.
That's me with any plumbing job. 5 trips hardware.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And forever.
Yep.
Yep. But you get it done. There's nothing more you can do about it.
Exactly, yep.
At least you ain't got some car salesman ripping your daughter off.
We can start the meeting, I don't know where Greg is. I'm sure he'll show up. He knows about it, so.
Right, we'll go ahead and call tonight's meeting Monday, October 20th, to order. We'll do roll call. Dennis. Here. Ridsdale.
Here.
Beavers is absent at the moment. And I am here. Is there any public comment?
Nope.
Cool. I will make a motion to approve last month's meetings.
I'll second that.
All right, so the first order of business tonight is taking a look at the RFP for a law firm on the rental property ordinance.
Well, we got this one RFP, but I am having a call with another. So, at the next meeting, we'll have two to choose from, so. Figure that's better to have two pair of both. I'll bring it back to you the next month. So, well, and, you know, council has to see what you so.
Did they have the kind of an idea what we were looking for, the scope of the work?
Yes, I gave them, the RFP had all the
Had done,
information, yeah.
I didn't see it specifically addressed and
No, they didn't really, I
Kind of
know,
a
it was just
thought.
kind of like, this is what we are now, and I didn't tell us like how many hours it was gonna be, or,
just like a rough.
yeah,
I know they're hesitant to give estimates, but
yeah.
like.
Well, and I'm hoping when I talk to the other guy, I'll get more of a understanding of, you know, cause he wants to actually talk, so I'll get more of a rough estimate of what he's gonna charge and about how long it's gonna take, I think. I'll be able to ask him and then at least we'll have a rough, what, if it was gonna take him that much time, it's probably gonna take the other person that much.
Hourly rates look for a lawyer pretty good,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I didn't think it was too outrageous.
So so we're waiting for a second.
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll touch that again next month, maybe. Next item of business is the survey results.
Okay, so I know we had sent over the full set of survey results to everyone. Today you also we had summarized that into what the actual chapter for the master plan will look like. It's this set of pages in your binders. Did I give you the updated? Oh, yeah, you got it. Okay. Has everyone had a chance to review it yet? If not, that's totally okay. The full set of survey results.
I read through quite a bit of it,
Oh,
but I got.
That's okay.
I got mine early.
it was just gonna determine how much of this we went over it. Nope, that's totally okay though. So we had the survey open from August 8th to September 12th. And we received approximately 206 responses. Age ranges for the participants of the survey, the highest response rates were those people ages 40 to 49, and then 50 to 59, and 30 to 39. So fairly young response range compared to, I feel like, what we typically see for surveys. Typically, I feel like we see a lot older age range answering. As for where everyone lived who took the survey, we were actually pretty split on those who lived within the city of Langsberg and those who lived in Victor Township. It was about 32% and 34%. That was pretty interesting. We asked everyone, how they felt the city has changed over the last 5 years, and for the most part, everyone felt most of the categories had stayed the same. There were some that were split between stayed the same and got better. Overall, none of them received an overwhelming response that the conditions had worsened for the city, so I felt like that was pretty positive. So at the intersection of Woodbury and Grand River Roads, there are those two vacant businesses, and so we asked respondents what types of commercial uses they would like to see go into those vacant buildings, and that just helps us gauge what kind of uses they feel like the city is missing. Hello.
Hello. See ya.
And so we got a lot of responses to that question, but I feel like they could be summarized into a couple main themes. We saw grocery store or some sort of fresh food market. We saw additional restaurants outside of, the bar type restaurants we see in the downtown. There was an emphasis on additional fitness or recreation opportunities, like gyms or youth-oriented like family activities. And then we also saw community gathering spaces, such as, a senior center or expanded library facilities, those types of things. So the city has been prioritizing downtown revitalization over the past few years. So we asked respondents, what other things they think could help attract guests to the downtown area. We gave them a couple options to pick from. It was pretty split between improved walkability and bike access, as well as creating more of a themed streetscape where we're incorporating art and games and gathering areas. And then, so we finished the survey with two short answer questions. What do you like best about the city? And what could you improve on? For what do you like best about the city? Those answers could be summarized into they appreciate the small town charm, the community support and the people who live within the city. The downtown and the local businesses being like a hub for the community. And then just the safety and access within the community. They like those small walkable sides and how it's like similar to the small town charm, but very family oriented. For what would you like to improve on? We saw downtown revitalization and the continued business development efforts, community identity and destination, property maintenance and blight, housing, just the need for additional housing within the city, as well as additional parks and recreation opportunities. And then the one thing we did not touch on in this survey, because you touched on it in the survey you guys did last year, was housing. So I went through those survey results from the survey you guys previously did, and I pulled out information that I felt important related to housing that we should know for this master plan. And just to kind of re-highlight those.
Is everybody, there's the packet that we handed out today, it's on page 43. And it would start with the chapter 6 community input. You do want to take a look and follow along with what Faith is.
Probably should have
is walking
started with
through
that.
here. Yep.
Almost all the way. I can class.
Yeah, sorry, we kill you guys with the pages on these meetings, that's not helpful.
Fill in the truths today. Okay, we're all good. Fresh up. So just some highlights from that survey you guys did last year that, you know, we felt were important related to housing is, you know, the main types of issues respondents felt the city had related to housing was included rental housing, just the amount of housing stock and the number of houses available, older adult housing, home ownership, and as well as community awareness. It was asked what types of housing was most important to prioritize. Over half of the people said single family residential, followed up by multifamily housing. And then one that I felt was pretty important was, you know, what do they see as the barriers to housing in the city? Top answer was availability, followed by affordability and then accessibility. So that was just like a super brief overview of the survey results. If there was anything in particular you guys felt interesting or you wanted to talk a little more about, we're happy to. Anything that surprised you?
It seemed to me when a lot of the comments about what sort of businesses we should bring to town, that there was maybe lack of realistic approach. There was the number of times Aldi was referenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should not going, or MSU putting a branch in Lansbury, it's not going to happen. Right? We just don't, I mean. Yeah. So I'm not sure how you deal with that. If people who did the survey think that that's even somehow within the realm of possibility. I can't, I mean, I'm sure Aldi has this very specific business model.
Oh,
They do,
we-
I've talked to them.
We did, yeah, we got a whole report from them and exactly what you have to have in order for all these to even look at putting in place, and it was. So a crazy amount of number passing by.
Yeah.
Okay, traffic counts related.
Like 20,000
Yeah,
something.
20,000
I mean, you think about where all these are and how many,
Yeah.
what the traffic's like.
Yeah.
It's great. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we're
true.
never gonna get that much traffic.
Marshall, no. that's-
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but
I do have to leave again at like 5:45. Then I have a full press and then I'll come back because we'll be here a while. I'll just wanna let you guys know. Again, I'm all over the place.
appreciate you being here.
Hey, Jamie this morning, so I'm like, oh, so.
And we kind of jumped right into the material there, but just to kind of talked about the format, public input is the first thing we kind of like to talk about, is lead into the goals and objectives, you know, so what is the community saying? What are things that we can do as a city to, you know, both react to that and, you know, what are some other things that we really want to prioritize? And then where do we expect future development to go, city? So, because there's so much we're trying to cover tonight, we like to, that's why I brought the food, split it up, you know, do a little break in the middle so that we're not drooling on ourselves by the end of it. Our goal is to get you out of here by 7 o'clock. That way people can go home and watch the landscape. Yeah, so, um. Yeah, so I think, great observation about that. I mean, I think people don't know, people just genuinely don't know what it takes to. You know, for businesses to come into town. I think it's better to get that idea of what do people actually want. You know, sometimes we put these surveys out there and they say, no growth. We want nothing there, you know, and it's good that we know, you know, people do want more access to financial services here. They want more access to grocery stores. And then, you know, they want access to restaurants. I mean, I think that's pretty much confirmation of probably what we thought. But it really kind of it should give you some, you know, some backing when you establish those goals and objectives. And then you can kind of think from there, you know, what are the tools that we have in our toolbox as a city to kind of help bring that in? You know, who are people that we can partner up with? You know, what kind of funding opportunities are there? Really, what are the limits of city government to how far should we go? And that's gonna be a little bit different for every jurisdiction, so. Yeah, that's great observation. Anything else that jumped out to people? The survey?
So, I mean, from a broad perspective, right, and this is probably something that we'd have to. Discuss further, but, you know, the whole, the whole. Thing that started this was trying to get some feedback, so it could give what we do here some direction, right?
Right.
So now that we have this done, we have some great information, right? What can, maybe this is just food for thought, but what can we do with that now that we can be proactive and actionable and, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
I mean, if financial services are one of the top things, right? And,
Yeah.
and that's already been,
Well,
you know,
we did,
explored.
actually, the DDA put out a survey on Facebook. You know, because there was a bank that was thinking about putting a remote location out here. It was a credit union. And so we put it out there. It was complete opposite of what they want a financial institute, but they want the specific one. They didn't want, I mean, it was overwhelmingly, no, I would not leave my bank.
Yep.
To join that bank, like it was like 2% that they would. The rest of them were like, no, but if you bring, you know, Michigan State in here, yeah, we'll be great, but nobody was willing to
Yeah.
budge. I was shocked because I was like. So I'm like, the only people that would benefit and do our businesses and that, that's, yep,
It seems like a lot of that's a domino effect. Like if you had a thriving grocery store and you had good traffic count, could you get MSU to put like a video teller in?
right,
right,
Maybe, I don't know.
yeah.
They may be able to write that off as community outreach and maybe you could get that to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, and this bank was actually gonna do like a whole remote, you know. Thing where it would be a remote bank teller, they'd be live and, you know, which would be great, especially for the businesses here, but no one was willing to leave their bank to do it. I'm like, well, we've gone too long without a bank, everyone's established and they've already got their routines down, they're like, nah, I ain't leaving and moving everything, you know, so. I was kind of surprised, I was like, wow, well, that was a bust.
I mean, at least you asked the question, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
good to know, that's good to know.
Yep,
It's better to do that and understand now that folks aren't necessarily willing to do that and
Right.
have the credit union come and have it fail.
yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, even for businesses, I'm like, we just want one teller for one machine that takes deposits. That would help immensely for businesses, because we have to drive to the bank to do deposits, you know, I mean, you feel like you're in the nineties.
I feel like the other part of the survey, some of it's been addressed, so maybe part of what we need to do is education. I mean, we did pass the maintenance code. Yep, the revised version of it, so that's out there. We're talking about getting the rental code. I mean, we're actively involved in a lot of this, so maybe part of that just needs to be. How do we get the message out? How do you get someone to read the newsletter that you guys are sending out quarterly?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, well, and I mean, once we're done with the master plan, that'll be a big thing, we will probably promote out there and say, hey, you know, our master plan's been updated. And it'll have a lot of this information in there, so, you know, hopefully we'll be able to promote that as something we've accomplished and done, and if you want to see it, reference it enough.
Mhm.
You know, we will put it out on the website, obviously, but yeah, getting it. You know, I mean, people took the survey, you knew that that was, they were taking the survey for the master plan, so. Once we get the master plan done and then we put it out there, maybe people will. See, you know, like this is the plans, this is what the city's, you know, goals are.
I think too, you know, and it's best, you know, I hopefully with the master plan, we can give you guys some different tools on how to engage the public, maybe a little bit more, maybe to help spread that message better, you know, maybe. You know, I think that, you know, the newsletter is great, but it's only gonna hit a certain portion of the population that really, you know. Who reads the physical mailer, right? Who is going to the city website? Is probably people that are pretty interested in specific things.
Yep.
You know, I think that some communities do a really good job managing a social media, having social media presence. Other communities say, we don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole because there's a serious issue with that. So I think that can certainly be, when we talk about goals and objectives, that, you know, this administration portion of it. That can absolutely be part of it. You know, maybe it's not us coming up with the right tool today, but. You know, understanding that there's a gap and a knowledge gap that, you know, to continually try to work towards that. And maybe, yeah, so. Just a thought. Others, any others? Well, I think that, you know, overall, I mean, for you guys just having done a survey pretty recently and then putting out another one a year later, not too bad with response rate. Yeah, I mean, just comparing to some nearby communities, like City of Perry had less than 200. So when they put out their online survey, so I think that, you know, between the two, we tried to kind of mash them together in the chapter where we talk about it. So we're definitely going to consider both for the master plan. So so I think that kind of leads into, and by the way, too, if you guys want to dig into food, like you don't have to wait, you know, probably better while it's hot. So
I don't, I thought draft was, I mean, the draft. I'm reading draft here. I thought survey was very simple. I thought good questions and. Some of the answers a little bit, you know, everybody wants a pool, but nobody realized how much it costs to maintain a pool.
very true.
Inside, outside pool at that.
Yeah.
No, this, but it's good to see what people want.
I think sometimes, you know, the questions and they, especially the ones where they get to answer themselves and they want things for the city, but they don't understand that. We don't necessarily get to choose when there's somebody wanting, like people before, when they wanted a restaurant, they were like, we need a restaurant, we need a restaurant. We're like, I'm open a restaurant. 'Cause like, we're not stopping people from going. But it's almost like they think the city's stopping that, or we're the ones who are can find something to do it. And it's like, it doesn't work that way.
They take volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where you're like, bring it, we'll do it.
Then support it too, so I mean, that's things we want, right?
Yeah.
Can we support for?
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there was lots of, you know, I think in the last one, there was lots of like, we need a Chinese food, we need this, but it's like. Okay, but think about, you know, is that gonna be able to sustain here, you know, and, but people don't, they just want what they want, and they don't think it through.
Right. And it's not like, you know, we're the ones that are doing it.
Right.
We're not the ones that are running that business either, so.
Yeah, cause some of them will say, well, the city should do that, it's like, the city can't open a restaurant.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Be a great revenue source.
Yeah. At one point, I
Doing
think
it
we
right.
could.
So, any other thoughts on the survey, or we wanna keep moving on?
I'm comfortable. with
Yeah,
it.
I'm good.
Okay, let's do it.
And good now, good survey.
Good stuff. The next thing that we have to talk about, are goals and objectives. So. Start with that, with the survey to lead into, discussion about goals and objectives, because it should give you hopefully some idea about what you want, you know, really the meat of the master plan to be. Goals are really ideally supposed to hit on just about everything within the city, right? So what we've done is, we gave you a red line format, which I am not going to, it's gonna be really tough to read. We just wanted to show you, you know, we're not pulling these things from thin air. We're really trying to understand that the last master plan that was written by the city has been a really good guide up to this point. But there's some things that probably need to be updated from there. So, I'm gonna read from the clean copy here. The way that I will kind of start to talk about this is just sort of like the larger categories that this is broken down into. So housing is a statewide, it's an issue, right? You know, there's not, there's a housing affordability issue in general. So, some communities more so than others. It's so that is definitely a category for a goal. Downtown. So as far as commercial development in the city goes, the downtown is pretty distinct from strip mall that's at the corner of Woodbury and Grand River, right? And even on the other side, you know, the older, you know, the storage unit that's coming in the contractor establishment that's right there. I can't remember who owns that.
Mike and Sons.
Mike, thank you. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, those are older commercial uses that have been there, you know, before really the ordinance was in existence. It's a different, they're different character, right? So we have identified downtown as having some different goals than, you know, just general economic development for the city. So, there's different things that we could kind of talk about for some that would just be largely applied for the whole city and some that are more specific for the downtown. Infrastructure is another one. You know, how are we talking about things like roads, water? Obviously the whole public water thing is always, it's been talked about forever. I think it's an opportunity to talk about this again as a group, is, you know, this is something we want to continue to try and go for. Financially speaking, it's really hard to do, I know, but Parks and Recreation is a new one. Previously, this was just kind of incorporated into more of a discussion about public, like public administration. I think it's important to kind of break that out. I think that there's definitely, you know, there is a lot of park space in the city, and there's certainly, you know, a lot of natural recreation area that's out just outside of the city too. So how do we, you know, kind of leverage those features to kind of make the city, you know, just kind of build off of the assets that you have here. Public administration and engagement is our last category, and that kind of gets into the things that we've been talking about as far as education is concerned. You know, kind of best practices here at the city level for staff. So I don't know a better way to do this than just to kind of read through these. I guess maybe before I do that, have you guys had a chance to read through these? You did?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Do you want me to read through each one of these individually?
I didn't get all the way through, but I can
Okay.
finish it later tonight. It's not a problem.
I'm more than happy to do that. I think it's actually probably helpful to kind of talk through it. And
Okay, that's
that
fine.
kind of helps lead into like maybe why we've written what we've written.
Yep.
And, you know, opportunities for changes and all that. So
Okay, go for it.
it's draft, it's totally draft, so this is just ideas. So housing, our goal one, establish and maintain a stable residential housing stock around the city's key notable features to ensure their continued viability. So previously, the last, in the current master plan, we had listed in around the downtown schools and churches. Just try to make it a little bit more general with key notable features. You know, previously we had said to maintain a stable residential perimeter. Which I think the idea is back when that original master plan was drafted back in like 2008, we were starting to get some newer subdivisions that were being built back then. You haven't really seen that as much. And I think when you look at the survey results specifically, there's a lot of talk about maintenance of, it's going back to the property maintenance idea, right? So we've changed this up slightly to be a little bit more kind of pitted towards that property maintenance idea and understanding that we might not get so many more new subdivisions. And that's not necessarily what, the goal is anymore. So the objectives for this one. And then I guess let me just back up a minute. So goals, broadest that's the broadest category, right? We are trying to be very general. Objectives, we're starting to get a little bit more specific about how we're going to accomplish that goal. Eventually, after we talk about this tonight, we're going to go back and give you what's called an action plan. So the action plan is going to be even more specific. It's going to say, okay, if our goal is about this housing stock, and our objective is to enforce zoning and property maintenance regulations to ensure quality housing stock in the city, we know that our code enforcement team really it's the police here at the city. And that's funded out of the general fund, right? So the action plan is going to call out who's doing it and how it's getting paid for. There's opportunity for other sources of income other than just general fund. We're gonna call that out for you too. So there's grant opportunities out there. We'll talk about that. So keep moving here. Create flexible regulations and encourage a variety of housing types in the city to meet the needs of a diverse range of populations. Promote the reuse and rehabilitation of existing residential structures to preserve the historic feel of housing within the city. And D, identify and promote the expansion of residential housing at key locations along the perimeter of the city. Thoughts about those?
You're gonna identify where you could expand residential housing, feels like kind of getting,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, and that specifically really comes into when we talk about future land use.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know, and we're getting built out. We're certainly getting built out. I think too that, there are a couple of larger agricultural parcels still left in the city. And I think that there is opportunity there if, those private owners were willing to sell.
Yeah.
And I think you got to think about this from kind of a long-term range, 5 to 20 years out. 20-year, you really you think about the 20-year range. If somebody does not want to continue to use their property for that purpose, what could it be? And I think that especially when we think about the specific placement of these things, keep in mind that anything we talk about in the master plan doesn't change the legal, what people are able to use it for today, right? So we know that, the property is used for agricultural purposes. We're not saying they can't do that anymore just because of this map. We're saying that if things were to change, this is what we ideally would have to use for. So. And I think, really, I think more of that, and we'll get into that later. We can definitely talk about the placement of it later, but I mean, as far as, so I could tell you for the flexible regulations portion of it, the zoning ordinance is constantly being amended. You guys have actually been really good about that, but just being aware that there are strategies that you can do to just continually make it a little bit easier for people to put other types of housing in the city. But I think that's a question for you, right? We had a lot of survey respondents say that they really want to have more single family homes. They don't really want to have more, multifamily types of units in the city. Do you as a planning commission agree with that?
It's topic. I think the mix we have now is about right. I mean, I think maintenance is probably something we want to look at. Or needs to be addressed. I think we're doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that development
that we're proposing right now by the old railroad property. Or up by railroad, that would be,
Yeah. Would be suitable or
I
not.
mean, it's rental and
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, it's one of those weird mixes. It's
Right.
Not really, it's rent, it'll be rental, but they're individual homes.
Yeah.
So eventually they could be residential homes. But yeah, but they're also all together like
Yeah.
it's a kind of a,
they're keeping a percentage of them rent. Control, not low income, but
Right.
median income, so that does.
yeah,
Help with the accessibility part of it.
Right,
Um,
The other side is, we've had people approach us, ask us single story homes. So when some of our population gets older.
Yep.
They don't have to go from one step. So that's something else that, there's other areas that, hey, well, maybe we can put 5 or 6 single story homes in or a facility and. That's a little bit more upgraded than what's down there now. So I mean, that's something else in the future that, we can try to drag somebody in there to do it.
I think it's a great,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I think that's a reality for most of Michigan. You've got an aging population and there's not enough people. If you don't have the housing for people to move into in the community, they're gonna leave.
well,
So,
and I think that's what's happened here. That's why we have such a young population here. I think the older people have just left.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
cause I'm like, when we did the other thing we did, and that was a shocker, just how young our town is, and it's like, how'd that happen,
Yeah.
cause that really wasn't the way it was, so. I'm sure that's it, cause they're just, they can't live in their homes anymore, so they have to move out.
Yeah.
And find, housing that they can live in, so,
and that's that mix, like that probably
Yeah.
have been treat 4 acres,
Mhm.
if you could put 4. Condos even that
Right.
were single story.
Yeah.
Now you've got kind of the best of both worlds.
Yep.
Except if somebody come and build.
Right.
Yeah.
Give them 50.
yeah, that's right, that's right. I'm glad you brought it. We can talk about the railroad property and the Treat Street property a little bit more. I guess I'm just curious, was there actual site plans that that were developed by the city? Through that, through with the MEDC funds that, kind of like said, hey, this is like your model, right?
for railroad,
Yeah, for railroad,
yeah, I mean, they have.
They have a
yeah,
site plan.
they have a site plan. Is there a developer, is there someone that's actually like actively in the process of doing that development, purchase the property and?
We're going through a lot of issues with them, but
Okay.
yes,
It's, Ellen Edwin.
yes,
Oh, okay, great, good. That's exciting.
yes. Just the communication is a major fallback right now.
Yeah, we're not sure we're big enough for that yet.
It's just, but and the biggest thing with that is if we're not awarded a grant, the deal's dead.
Yeah.
So, because the infrastructure, everything else is gonna cost so much money, it's like, city's not gonna put it all out there, especially if they're gonna make money off. of it.
Right,
So,
Yeah, cause they'll be looking for a tip,
okay, gotcha.
so. Yeah,
Latest conversation, except had it cost in the city over half.
Yeah.
Wow,
The math
substantial.
doesn't really work there.
Right. Yeah. That's good to know. I was not sure where that was in the process. I know that that's been talked about for a long time. And it's good
yeah,
there's a
I
developer
think
that
it
wants
kinda
to do it.
it's my gut guess is that we're just not big enough for it now, the original. Well, the original one was 32 homes, which is more of what they usually do. This 16 home is not worth it to them, so, they're like, yeah, sure, we'll do it, but. We're not gonna spend the money, like they would for a 32. Housing unit.
Well, the math's gotta work for them too, I get
Yeah,
that. They've
yeah.
got- Everyone's gotta
Right,
have a
Yeah.
benefit, so.
right.
Well, maybe we put 8 single family homes,
Right?
sell the property, sell the building, we know it's a clean site now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do, and that's the thing,
Oh, good.
it'll kind of be bad if we don't end up doing it, cause if we do get the grant, then we gotta let it go, we don't have a developer, so. It's kind of like, well. Nice if somebody came in and said, yeah, well, we'll do it.
Okay, that's good to know. I was not aware of that.
I'm gonna take off and I will come back and Preston's soccer thing is done. It's his last day, so, and the big thing to him, so. Apologize for leaving and coming, but that's kind of how I am right now. So, yeah, yeah, I'll leave this stuff here because I plan to come back. If I don't get back in time, you guys are done, then I'll get it tomorrow.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, hope I get back in time and we'll go from there, but yes.
Grab a piece of pizza, you all right?
Well, I'm getting him a pizza because of his allergy, but. Yeah, we'll see what happens, so, thank you guys.
Myself, I'm getting off it.
Okay, I'm gonna keep moving here. Does everyone feel okay with those objectives? Feel like it's still, that's pretty representative of what we're interested in doing. Okay, so goal 2, continue to promote the appropriate development of vacant lands inside, outside the city's boundaries. As residential housing, to meet the demands of the city. With that one. Yeah, and this is very similar to, this is very similar to what, a goal that was, from the current master plan. And I think that, this idea of understanding that the city doesn't exist in a vacuum. There is a surrounding, there's a surrounding township, right? I mean, Scioto surrounds the city. You have Victor. People come into the city a lot too and use it that don't necessarily live here, right? So, how are we, what are we kind of building towards, for housing purposes, that understands, there's neighbors here. For those objectives, develop zoning regulations and plans that not only promote single-family residential subdivision development where appropriate, but ensure those developments are focused on the city's downtown as a primary service area connected by residential developments with sidewalks and pathways that lead to the downtown schools and recreation opportunities. I think that needs to be workshopped a little bit as far as the actual wording is concerned. I think the idea is that that when you are getting new single family development, you have sidewalk connection, you are connecting to the rest of the city, right? I think that when you drive through the city, you definitely see there's a difference between newer and older areas when it comes to that pedestrian piece. And I think too, there's an opportunity that kind of build into, bike infrastructure too, right? There's a county recreation plan that talks a ton about different routes that they want to see in Shiawassee County to have, better bike infrastructure. I think that you have people that ride bikes on rural roads already. I think if you as a city embrace that, specifically when you're doing road improvements and you're thinking about how we can maybe, incorporate that into it, you can definitely play up some of those existing recreation things, right? You've got Sleepy Hollow State Park that's right up the road. Maybe people that are camping out there would want to ride their bike in town to go to Tammy's and get breakfast, right? Kind of playing off that tourist piece a little bit. We are a bedroom community. I think it's a bedroom community and, people commute, to Lansing typically from here, but there is definitely a lot of natural recreation purposes. So, sorry, going off on a tangent there. We're gonna workshop this as but really, we're just talking about wanting to make sure that there's connection. B, develop working relationships with surrounding communities concerning annexation, 425 agreements or other mechanisms that allow for residential growth of the city and surrounding areas. So when you look at Scioto Township, who totally encompasses the city, their master plan is ag, right? They've got some residential pieces, that abut the city along Woodbury right here. And then they've got some, they kind of call out some of this as like natural features. All of this is identified as ag on their future land use map. So essentially what that does as a city, you can use this mechanism called the 425 agreement and you can annex properties. So if there's a commercial, essentially, if there's a commercial property that's interested in, you know, potentially joining into the city, you could consider that.
And aren't we doing one of those with subdivision off of West Street?
Is that happening right now?
I think so. I think that subdivision that's off of West Street
Okay,
is annexed a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah,
this right here.
I think that line there's like half of it or quarter of it
Yeah, you can
is
see
being
like,
annexed.
if you go up, I mean, yeah, okay. That's
I think, I'm almost positive that
right,
that is being right now, so. Yeah, so we've done it before.
Yeah.
so,
right. And this is not new. I mean, this came from your old master plan too.
Right.
But
Right,
I think it's just understanding that, you know, as a city, you can use that as a tool. If the opportunity arises, so. Coordinate land use patterns and growth management policies with surrounding communities to prevent the loss of developable land for residential purposes as well as natural resources, prime agricultural land. This stays right with your existing master plan. Again, it's just that idea of coordinating with adjacent communities. Actively promote and market key development sites for sensible, attractive, multifamily development. This is a new one. I think this goes into exactly what you guys are talking about, the railroad site and Tree Street. Continue to work with property owners and developers in downtown to develop or redevelop land into mixed-use developments. I would say mixed use. Yeah, mixed uses that diversify the housing options available in the city. So multifamily homes don't have to necessarily just be in apartment complexes, right? I mean, I feel like we've seen a lot of apartments above commercial businesses in the downtown. It's not a bad thing, right? Diversifies the housing stock. Anytime you're seeing like in parentheses after a goal or an objective, that's a cross-reference to another plan that the city has. So the master plan is going to be, it's going to look pretty, and it's going to have like this nice little symbol on it or something for economic development strategy. We'll have a key associated with it, but the idea is to be really as comprehensive as possible. So you want to cross-reference things, gives you more weight to it. Thoughts on that one? Okay, yeah, good. I'll just keep moving downtown. Okay, so maintain the momentum of previous downtown revitalization efforts to keep the city's core vibrant. This is a new one. The previous one previous master plan talked about really kind of trying to bring people to downtown, trying to start these revitalization efforts. I think there's, you know, the facade grants I think have been awesome for the downtown. You know, cities actively working with business owners, you know, if they have different opportunities. I'm thinking of dance studio, right? I mean, there's business owners that want things. Cities very open to working with them. And I think that this goal really kind of, that's the emphasis of this one. Objectives, promote the redevelopment of the city's downtown business district by emphasizing urban revitalization and maintenance of the city's downtown. Develop and enforce property maintenance code in the city to prevent the decline of properties and encourage investment by ensuring stabilized property values. Encourage or fund services that can be utilized by the city and surrounding rural areas such as community events, parks and recreation facilities, and commercial recreation opportunities. Utilize the resources available as part of the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program and Michigan Main Street Program to continue to prioritize the utilization of the downtown. Develop a coordinated vision for the downtown streetscape to ensure new development enhances and further develops the downtown's identity. Discourage non-residential growth at the boundaries of the city that would detract from the viability of the downtown. And encourage a vibrant and unique collection of shops and restaurants by coordinating with appropriate groups and agencies to market vacant storefronts to draw residents and guests to the area. So working with other groups, right? You know, DDA is active here. They have funds, and they have their own goals. You know, understanding that there are other agencies that help try to promote businesses. I think the city already does this. I think this is just really affirming the things that the city does. I think that a new one, the city has resources through MEDC and the previous efforts that have been done with the RRC program. There's funds that are available there, right? And they're issued on 3-year cycles. It is. Kim, it's match free, isn't it?
Match on me.
I'm thinking the RRC technical assistance funding.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a match required for that? I can't remember. Is it 25% or is it?
I don't know about that one. I
I can't remember.
don't think that one is. The match on Main is.
Match on Main is.
Match on Main is 25%.
Yeah.
But the technical one,
Can't remember.
I don't think there is a match for that one.
No.
Cause it's a
That's good.
pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's funding that's available through these programs. You guys have already done the work to be involved in them. If there's an opportunity to, you know, use those funds, you know, just be aware, you know, you have it, do it.
Is there a way, I mean, cause, I mean, our downtown isn't big, so it's pretty easy to identify the vacant buildings that have been vacant for a very long time.
Right.
Is there any way to encourage movement or revitalization of those buildings?
I think that what you could do, so the city specifically, you know, the city can't use their general fund to say, hey, I'm going to invest in this particular property, which is, I don't want to say blighted, but you know, could be rehabilitated,
Yeah.
right? Can't use it for a specific property as a private property owner, but the DDA as they have their own funds, don't have the same type of restrictions on that. DDA could say, because the whole intent of a DDA is that you pass a resolution, you say that in order to prevent property value loss and deterioration, we are doing this, we're gonna capture tax funds. So they could identify that property and say, okay, we are going to provide the match that's required to do the facade. You know, or I mean, they strictly honestly could just go in and rehabilitate a building.
Yeah, cause they can actually own the building.
They could actually own the building. Right.
Yeah,
They have less restrictions on the
Yeah.
way that they use their funds than the city does. So I would say that if there are particular properties that are like that, work hand in hand with the DDA to get that done.
Okay.
I can't remember. Does the DDA, do they have a levy as well? Is there a millage that's done by the DDA or is it just tax capture?
no, it's just tax.
It's just tax, yeah. So that's something to think of too. I mean, you know, it's might not be politically popular whatsoever to add, you know, new taxes, but. DDA districts can issue up to a 2 mil levy. So, and typically what they do is they exempt residential properties that are within the district and they say it's just commercial properties. But it's an additional funding source that they could use. So. If the city was really, you know, interested in doing, you know, they could help that out. So.
So, I mean, with something like that, right? I mean, do we have is there a bunch of businesses that are coming in and saying, we'd really like to get started in that building right there, but. You know, if it only looked better.
Yeah.
You know, and the funds are what's restricting them from coming here and doing that, like, is there a number of people that are that way?
Well, I know, I mean, I don't know like, we've not had, you know, anybody come to the city per se and say, hey, we would love to come here, but we can't find any place to do what we want to do. You know, the buildings right now, besides Sing's building, is rentals. I mean, we've got them for sale, but they're also up for rents too, so I don't know if people have. You know, like, because
My-
it's private, I don't know if people have come in and said, oh yeah, we want to do this, but then found out the rent was too high,
My-
you know?
I mean, my point in asking that is, right, so if we. Suggest to the DDA, right, that, yeah, let's use money and make these
Right,
facades look nicer, right? Does that affect any change on bringing anybody in, or I mean, is that just make it look better? But still,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
You still have to find that business that
Yeah.
wanna go in there.
Right,
Right, you still
Right.
have to do that. I mean, I think that where it would make it easier is that you got an attractive building that's moving ready. And it's the idea of trying to, like, think about it from like a house, right? Like, you
yeah,
can have a certain market of people that are willing to buy a house and fix it up. And versus people, most people would be, oh, it's turnkey, right? I move in,
sure.
can move in as soon as I get the keys.
So that's kind of my question, right? Is there really any interest in, like, if those buildings were turnkey, right? It's like, oh, open the floodgates, here we go, we got. They're
well,
they're
and
not
I
sitting
don't think
vacant.
it's like super high that we, have property, because I think most of the properties that people have downtown that are available or for sale or whatever are pretty turnkey. I mean, probably just depends on what I mean, but we don't always have the knowledge here of who's going to these private owners and saying, hey, and then not doing it. Sometimes they come here and ask questions and, like, we've had people that are like, oh, well, we'd like to do this and this and this, what's it gonna take? And they're, and then they get shot down or, whatever, the owner doesn't want to sell or whatever. So we're not always privy to, what's the behind the scenes of the private owners of the building that are vacant.
Sure.
So, yeah, we wonder, like, why is that vacant still, or why hasn't, anybody. Asked, or why did that business only stay in there for a month, you know?
I mean, the
I-
one in particular, you could put an upper and lower rental in it, and it would at least. Not be blighted anymore.
Yes.
Fix the facade up.
Yeah, and like Steam's building is one,
That's
that's
the one,
definitely, we want to look better. I feel like the other buildings all are decent looking.
Oh, yeah, no,
They're
there's
all-
no issue.
Yeah, there's no blight issues to say where somebody's going, oh, I'm not gonna put all the money into that building, and even, we've got Jen who just came in, that would have probably sat for a while. Because people knew that they were gonna have to put a lot of money in, but it was also a big space, so just the right person coming in.
She's been a business owner for how long in the city before doing that?
A long
I mean,
time.
That's, yeah,
Yeah, she has a very good established business.
Right.
So, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, but then, it left another building empty because she was right here in town, but that got rented out right away, so.
That's great. I
Yeah,
mean, that's ideal.
yeah,
that is
that's what that's our
Yep.
ideal situation. We were worried that was not gonna happen, but it ended up happening, so.
Right. Yeah.
It's just finding the businesses to come here because we're just not a community that people drive through. You have to have a reason for them to come out here. And I feel like, Tammy's, it's kind of, brings people out here. People will come to Tammy's for breakfast from outside of Langsberg. So those kind of businesses, it's hard to find people that want to open a business that you're gonna be dead because you don't have something going on.
Right.
And we do, I mean, I think after we did that whole, I can't think what it's called, but after we did that whole thing, we found out just how many people. And even our businesses don't realize this, how many people we get from, Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
They did that survey and we were shocked. We were literally shocked that the one day in the year that had the most people come through our town, not one person, municipalities, businesses, none of us knew that was the most people that were in Langsberg at one time. And it was a bike race from Sleepy Hollow. And that was the most populated people, and no one knew about it.
Right.
So it was like, oh my gosh, like we lost our chance, so it's like, okay, we need to really promote out there, which we've been trying to do, and then of course the polls this year, so. So, yeah, I mean, I think the potential of really marketing out there is huge.
Yeah.
Especially for our small businesses.
I think it leads into the next goal that we have here for economic
Yeah.
development. Establish the city as a destination by attracting visitors from nearby state park and game. Yeah, I think that that's, you know, especially when you read other documents that have been done by the city, economic development strategy, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big resource.
It was shocking to me, I know that. I'm just like,
Right.
what?
You think,
Cause you just think that people are gonna go to St. John's, you know, it's a bigger city, they're just gonna go there, but I think they like to come to the smaller cities. And I mean, even talking to the other business owners, they were like, oh, no, cause a new business owner was asking two other business owners. Well, you know, are we really gonna be slow this summer because of Sleepy Hollow? And they're like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, you guys have no idea.
Yeah.
I said, that is not true. I said, yes, you know, you are going to see the low, but it's your first year. I feel bad that it's your first year, but it does make a difference. I
Yeah.
said, these owners are not in their businesses all the time. They're not there 24 hours. So yes, it does make an impact that Sleepy Hollow closes.
you take a business like what we have. You know, when we first started our business, we advertised, you know, to get people all over the state to come here. But now we're established, we don't even really have to advertise anymore, we're still booked up almost year round and.
Yeah, and you're another business
Yeah.
but the kind of businesses, we need that
Yeah.
people will come to here
Mhm.
to keep the other businesses going. And that's hard to do. And I mean, you found a niche that,
Yeah, and the thing about it is everyone, they love the town,
yeah.
they keep coming back, they love the town.
Well, right, I always feel like, you know, you guys have got all those people that are coming from outside the town. You just need more places to go while they're here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the,
Yeah.
because we're not in it, where nobody's going through our town to get to the next
Right,
town, or, you know, you just don't, you know, you'd be going out of your way, so you gotta make it worth your while to come through this town.
That's true.
One destination.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Destination.
take a place like,
I think the wedding venues help out here, because there's, what, 4 or 5 of them now?
Yeah. Or Mason, Mason with all their antique stores.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
just gives people a reason to.
Yes.
To Mason.
Yep.
Or.
Yeah,
Yep.
those things are hard to develop too. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
But, I mean, it's consistent effort towards it on a long-term basis that, you know what that's the vision that you want. I mean, eventually,
Yeah,
hopefully things happen, right? Can't all just be on the effort of the city, but. And something too that we did not mention in this previous goal, but I think it's worth maybe bringing up is, it's working with these local economic development agencies to maybe help. They are the ones that work with business owners to say, hey, I am looking for X, Y, and Z. Do you know a spot? It's the Justin Horvaths of the world.
yeah,
It's the Tim. I don't know if you guys work with Clinton County Catalyst now, Paul. I know that they're not. I know it's in Shiawassee County, but we're on the border, right?
Yeah.
Tim Fair, his group in DeWitt. I mean, they're doing the same thing there, and they have got a really good pulse on, greater Lansing area. I think it's worth, making those folks aware that at least, even, these are the sites that we have done all of this work for,
Right.
we are looking for these particular things.
Yeah.
So, you folks open to me putting that as an additional objective as objective E, to say, coordinate with local and regional economic development agencies to promote, viable sites or something
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
we should,
Yeah.
absolutely. Each barbecue joint downtown.
That'd be great.
That'd be a good custom.
Okay. We're gonna keep moving along here into economic development. So again, this is just that idea of establishing the city as a destination, and that's not new. I mean, that really, that comes from the previous master plan too, but where we added was just kind of getting more specific about the state park. And Rose Lake too. Promote and market the city using a wide variety of tools, including an updated website, social media campaigns, local groups and businesses. this really just kind of updating the means here. Previously, we had brochures, flyers, and internet, so, you know. The way that things are marketed and changed a lot since then. Capitalize on regional draws in the area such as Sleepy Hollow and Rose Lake by direct promotion to groups utilizing these other areas. Think about that bike race, right? I mean, there's a ton of running and biking, you know, these types of like recreation activities got super popular throughout COVID, golf too, right? You know, there are for-profit companies that come in and do these types of races all the time. You know, making sure that they're aware that there's a place to go downtown to, you know, grab a bite to eat, or to, hey, there's another park here that, you know, you can watch, you know, a movie in the park with the kids, you know, advertising those things, those groups, it's good too. That's what that objective is about. Utilize natural resources present in the city, such as the Looking Glass River, by continuing to develop infrastructure to provide for water access and trails. This is kind of a mix between a recreation, one and economic development, but cities work on the kayak launch. We do have Looking Glass, it's on the border, so. Talk about that a little bit more when we talk about future land use. Continually review the inventory of the city-owned lands and determine how land can be used to meet the needs of the city. I mean, just started the meeting, you guys call that out immediately, you know, about railroad site, Treat Street. You guys are doing that, continue to do it. Review and update and maintain amenities provided in city parks with an emphasis on facilities that would be unique to Langsburg and draw visitors. Aside from pickleball is crazy popular, but it's also pretty controversial. I mean, it's, oh, yeah. We could,
Controversial.
oh,
Oh,
yes, we
gosh.
could talk about pickleball and all the crazy.
People are crazy.
Splash pads have become so popular, and it is a regional draw. It's an opportunity that people can bring their very young kids access to water when it's hot. They don't have to worry about, you know, having a lifeguard present. It's an investment from the city, but you know, those are the kind of things that would bring people into the city to maybe want to spend, you know, more time and money here too, so. And then F, improve the physical image of the city along key entry points to draw guests. This is something that I think every community, you know, they either have spent a lot of time working on it or they know it's an issue. You got two main ways to get into the city, you know, that people usually take, right? It's Grand River, it's Woodbury. Think about what you're seeing as soon as you come into the city. I think that, you know, those are definitely opportunities to kind of build on. That's the first thing people think about when they come in, so. Some things you're not gonna be able to change, not gonna be able to force owners to stop, you know, using property the way that they're using it, but. There's certainly things that you can do, you know, I think that the wayfinding, the signage is great, right? There's other, you could go, you know, even a little bit further with that too, so. Any thoughts on goal 4 objectives here?
I think it crosses it, I mean.
Good. If you guys are good, I can just keep moving through it too, you just stop me. Create a diverse, vibrant, goal 5 is to create a diverse, vibrant, healthy environment for the success of businesses and services in the city. Participate with other jurisdictions and entities that focus on encouraging economic development within, in Shiawassee County, including job creation and retention. Promote and encourage adaptive reuse of buildings in the city by developing flexible zoning regulations. And C, conduct a market study to determine business needs in downtown. The market study thing, I know that there has been studies done in the past. Maybe this isn't needed. What do you think?
That's what we did, market study, we just did last year.
Last year?
Or,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. Earlier.
Okay. Good. So maybe that one comes out. The idea of adaptive reuse, for those that aren't aware, it's the idea that somebody comes in and puts in a very specific building and it's really tough to reuse that building, and your zoning regulations make it really hard to do anything, you know, that people would want to use that building for now. So I think that those specifically, those commercial properties that are on the outskirts of town, good opportunity for maybe some type of an overlay district in your zoning ordinance that would just be really flexible. You know, you identify what you would want there and you allow them, you know, opportunity to do things that, you know, would be your zoning ordinance doesn't really allow. So. Yeah, I'll move on. Yeah. Infrastructure, invest in the infrastructure of the community to ensure long-term viability and adequate facilities. Objectives here, pursue public investment in downtown as a regional service area, including public buildings such as a community center, library, municipal parking lots, and use of those publicly owned properties for regional purposes. Monitor the need for a municipal water system and aggressively seek out funding with implementation of such a system. This comes from the last plan. I'm not sure how realistic that is. I think it's a great thing. I think it would change the game as far as attracting different types of developers to come to the city. Might not be a bad idea to keep it in your plan, just in case there is some type of a grant out there for that. Probably not gonna be just the city doing.
No, something like, just,
Definitely not.
Yeah, we're always looking for grants,
Okay.
but so far we haven't.
Yeah. When repairing or replacing roads in the city, invest in the addition and the addition of bike lanes or multi-use paths to promote non-motorized transportation. It's the new one, kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier. Coordinate with other local jurisdictions and entities on the implementation of bike lanes or other non-motorized transportation, connecting the city to regional attractions such as Sleepy Hollow State Park. I think the idea, the reason we had those is two separate. One is more of like an opportunity. You're gonna repave certain roads, you know. You can invest and do, you know, you could implement it when it makes sense. And the other one is consider yourself in the larger region and where there are bike routes that are planned. So you're not just kind of throwing things in, you know, willy-nilly, you're kind of being sensible about it. And the last one, ensure annual review and approval of capital improvement plan that methodically identifies and prioritizes long-term infrastructure investment. So, do you guys still review capital improvement plan here every year? Okay, good. Good. Any thoughts on these? Move on. Keep it up. All right. Provide efficient, effective, and economical public services and infrastructure, including but not limited to police, fire, water, sewer, roads, and sidewalks. Objectives here. This C is missing an objective that will be removed. Foster non-motorized linkages such as bicycle pedestrian paths to connect downtown to the perimeter of the city and Ed Beaver's memorial trip. Got a lot of non-motorized here. I think we need to maybe that. Encourage new development, whether in the city or in an adjacent community, be developed in relation with the future expansion of public infrastructure. The word "that" just needs to get removed from this one, but you want to make sure you have the infrastructure in place to support whatever the development is being proposed. Review the existing sidewalk system in the city, determine locations for repair and expansion. This came right out of the survey. Ensure that the city is connected by non-motorized transportation routes to commercial hubs, residential neighborhoods, and regional destinations. Yeah, I think that we can definitely combine A and E. A lot to talk about bikes, that much. Develop policies that promote development that is harmonious with existing development and infrastructure. Develop policies that promote new developments.
These are all like things you have, you really need in your master plan when you go write a grant.
Like if a grant comes up, you got it already in there, you're already
Exactly.
ahead of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Also helps too, if somebody proposes something that you don't necessarily think is a good fit. You can cite this as a reason to say no as a. So as a special land use, somebody proposes special land use, there's discretionary items in your zoning ordinance that say. Oh, it should be harmonious with adjacent land uses as well. You can point back to your master plan and say, well, this is actually what we developed and your proposal does not fit because of these reasons in the master plan too. So. Okay, moving on, Parks and Recreations is new, update and enhance the parks and recreation system within the city to provide for convenient and accessible recreation access for all. Continue to seek funding for the development and improvement of parks and recreation facilities in the city. Assess the amenities provided in the city, in city parks to determine additional amenities for facilities named in each space. Or needed in each space, rather. Maintain an updated 5-year Parks and Recreation Plan for the continued access to grant opportunities from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Accessibility. Making sure that you've got amenities for all ages, like these are different things that are gonna get you points for grants, gonna get you extra funding to do park work, and park improvements are not cheap. So. Public administration and engagement, be proactive and prepared, be a proactive and prepared governmental units. Always a good idea. Be attentive to trends in modern land uses and ensure regulations and plans are written to accommodate change. Understand if your neighbor is got a data center coming in and they're gonna bring, a bunch of new jobs that come with that. Are we adequately preparing for that? Those kind of things. Just be aware of what's going on in your community. I think having members that are on your both appointed boards that are parts of other organizations is awesome. I mean, that is like the best form, you're using people that are on city boards that are parts of other portions of the community. That's really what we should try and do as much as possible. Emphasize an effective and efficient development review and permitting process that is user-friendly and equitable. We went through a process back in 2018, 2019 to do this development review manual. It's a good idea to review that, make sure that it's still up to date. It's online and people can see it, but it doesn't matter if that's not the actual process that people follow anymore. I'm calling that out. It might be totally fine, but there's a lot of documents that are available online that it's a lot of work for the city too, just to have to constantly go through that stuff. But when somebody comes in and they're ready to invest, I mean, you want to make it easy for them to do that. So seek out alternative funding sources to meet goals and objectives established in the master plan. That goes without saying. Regularly review and update zoning regulations to follow the adopted community vision and ensure anticipated development patterns. And to follow the adopted community vision and ensure, I guess I'm not sure what we're trying to say. That you think about the ensure anticipated development patterns, Faith?
So I think we're looking to just make sure we have zoning regulations in place that are allowing development to happen that enhances this vision you guys have come up with. So, you review that zoning ordinance to ensure that maybe there's regulations in there that you guys forgot about or haven't seen in a while. Because typically these zoning ordinances are, years and years old, and maybe there's something in there you didn't realize, and someone comes in and tries to do something, and it's allowed to happen because it's in your ordinance, but you're like, oh, maybe we don't want that. Or maybe that doesn't quite follow, this new vision we have created. I think it kind of works well with this because, typically you update your master plan and then you review your zoning ordinance after the fact to make sure this new vision you guys have created by going through this process is feasible or can happen, because that zoning ordinance is what allows, development to actually take place. That's what I get out of
Yeah, I mean, I think that those are good ideas for sure. I
Yeah,
think,
and it kind of sets a precedence. And then, and the years I've been on this board, even before I was on this board. If it makes sense, we'll change the zone. I
Yeah.
mean, we have no problem with that, and we've done it several times.
Yep.
And, but it also, it just says, well, do we want to change the zone? And
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
We just had, I don't know, it was from the housing department that took a look at our zoning and then sat with, the building inspector and myself and asked us all these questions, and then they came up with the results on, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. We just had that kind of informal done. It was free and they were just doing it for certain areas. And one of them was, you can update your master plan. I'm like, oh, we're doing that.
was that Mitch that did that?
It was, not this, it was the, housing, development people that. It's, yeah, the planning commission always has the housing development, like,
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Don gives them counsel.
Yes, they have the training and they do all this hammer with the thing, it's housing something. But yeah, it was kind of out of the blue, she called me and she's like, can you do this? And I'm not sure.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with us,
Yeah.
I think we're as much as possible trying to reference other things that have been done here. I think that Langsberg has kind of got this great problem where you've invested all this time and resources into all these different things, but you don't really talk about it all together as a,
Yeah,
as like a collective enough.
We just had it last
Yeah.
month at the, because it took a long time to get the results back.
Sure.
So, yeah, I just gave it to the council last
Okay.
month, or this month, actually.
Great.
Yeah, I can shoot.
Please
it
share.
over.
That'd be great. I think we need to workshop objective D a little bit. I think the intent makes sense. You guys are trying to be proactive. You've got a vision. You're working towards it. All right, last goal, effectively and openly communicate and coordinate the activities of government to realize effective and economical services to residents, business owners, and users of opportunity and services that the city offers. Okay, we got to workshop that goal as well. That's just a lot of words that can be said in a lot more simple way. But I think the idea here is that we are just communication. We're prioritizing communication, how we communicate with residents and business owners. So objectives here, be open and coordinate between city departments, multi-jurisdictional authorities, and adjacent communities to share the burden of costs for necessary services. Encourage public involvement in a decision-making process by following best practices from the city's public participation plan. You have a plan that says how you should engage the community on a variety of different things. Understand that it's there. If there's ever a question about who you should invite to a meeting, how you should publicize it, that should be the first thing you look at. If that's not how you want to do it, then consider updating the plan. So, other things that we've missed on here, we feel like we didn't hit on enough. General thoughts.
Pretty good work.
Be a lot prettier.
Yeah,
And we workshopped on some of the wording. I think some of that we kind of reading through it just didn't sound quite right, but
I think compared to what was. I like what was taken out. I feel like it. Well. I read through our old master plan, and it was even more wordy.
Yeah.
For the sake of filling pages without like. No, I think that would be good, and I think most people, who read it are gonna walk away from it with a clear idea of where we're going. Good, so I think that's good.
yeah. It's a goal.
No, and it touches on just, everything in the survey that were major issues are addressed, so it's even better.
Great. Perfect. Well, I think our hope now is maybe take a couple minutes break.
Yeah.
Grab a little bite to eat.
Yep.
And I'm gonna do that myself here. And then still goal to get you out by 7. So we'll talk about future land use map. I think this is gonna go pretty quick.
There's not too many talking points.
There's only so much you can talk about, really. It's developed land and it's development patterns aren't probably gonna change too much, but. Okay, I'm gonna grab.
But yesterday I had just a day off and it was raining all day and it was great, so.
Thank you for cracking it open.
Oh.
I got.
I say, well, we're on city council.
I gotta get 9 points.
Oh.
So I got a guy to place him with if he's out, but I wanna keep him in if he's. I told my son.
I hope I get it Sunday
I'm
night.
out of this meeting by 7.
Sunday, go through emails, scheduling out the week, you know. Not your favorite thing to do, but kind of kills that feeling of anxiety going into the next week.
You don't wanna walk with the one day without, but
No, you gotta have a plan.
Right. Try to open this the right way. Don't make a mess.
I'm sorry, guys, it's cold at this point, but
I did.
digging Kim.
Water, oh,
water please.
thank you. No water?
Good.
That's a matter of opinion, but.
Yeah, I'm all right. Kim, did you get that photo I texted you in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay,
No. We forwarded that to C2A.
I just happened to be at the hardware picking some stuff up from work and I thought, oh, there it is.
And that was one of the spots that we were looking at from the other side, and we're like, be right there, because it doesn't look like, you know, like it kind of dips down.
Just would hate for it to be an issue. This one.
Yeah. I think it was, I mean, the school. You know, noticed that they didn't have. Places for people to. Walk through besides the handicap area. But I'm like, well. And the handicap area that can walk through everything. Like, we can't really do much about it.
Yeah.
They were their plans, thank goodness, because they weren't ours. And we didn't think of it. But I'm surprised that no one thought it, really.
Mhm.
But I think when you look at those plans, you don't picture those handicaps. You know, I was like, oh, there's where everybody's gonna walk through, not thinking there's gonna be 2 handicap cars there.
Is there an issue with the new parking lot that's at school? It's,
I,
Not, I mean, just like there's not, they curved the whole thing except for where the handicap. Where the school is, so it's kind of like, well, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. They curved the whole thing, like left little ways for people like with strollers or, you know,
Right.
so. Hindsight. CQE did say that, with moving on, because they have their own. Guy that does the plants and stuff like that, and he said if we move them quick enough, he thinks we'll be fine. Moving the trees and we did it out a little bit. Well, we're hoping we can move them out to the. Boat line.
I think the issue isn't so much that, yeah, they'll be fine. But they don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's, I mean.
yeah, but we're gonna, yeah, that's the whole. Okay.
Mhm.
But I mean, Danelle and I went out to the boat launch and looked around and. Unfortunately, we didn't realize that the berm is much smaller than what we were hoping for because they didn't move enough dirt. So, I'm like, well, that kind of, it's a bummer, you know, I'm like, oh, because it would have been nice if it was the whole area and higher. So.
I would plant anything out this year
Yeah,
with the way it was shaped. I'm guessing someone's gonna have to go in there. And either correct it or
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could add to it.
I don't have a lot of. I did that for a little while when I did commercial landscape. And I've never seen anything shaped quite like that. Called the berm.
I know, I'm like, I guess we didn't move enough to even make a difference. I'm like, now I think we should have put a fence up,
Mhm.
and that would have been much. I think would have appeased the neighbors and. It would have looked better,
Put some vegetation, something just to
yeah,
naturalize it, but still.
yeah. But, looking at it, it's like, okay, we thought this was gonna be huge, like wide, long, tall, I'm like. There's a bump.
Well, it doesn't give them any privacy.
No,
And it
no,
doesn't prevent anyone from.
well, and now they've lined up. Oh, there's stuff there, so I'm like. Doesn't move it at all. I'm like, they're trying to block us and we get to look at their stuff now, so. And it does feel like it's naked over there. I'm like, too bad though, that pine tree that's right in front, I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect if they were all the way down there.
Where's this at?
The boat launch,
Boat launch.
yeah,
I'm not seeing it.
well, you should stop out there, it's really, it looks pretty good, yeah, it's neat. I'd never seen one before, so.
Yeah, I mean, it turned out nice. I
Yeah.
just-
There's a lot of fill, I think needs to.
Yeah.
We talked about. On the sides where the poles are that hold that whole thing there, I'm like. Why is there like a big gap right there? I feel like it needs to be filled all the way in and across.
I'm gonna try to get out there this week after all that rain and just see how everything, because when me and Tim were out there, everything felt a little like,
Yeah, I mean, they're not done.
yeah, it needs to settle.
Yeah.
We need to,
I mean, yeah, which would, they're not done, so there's more stuff to do, but. I'm like, okay, this should be filled in and more, I'm like, it kind of drops off. And then it goes back up, so I'm like, I feel like that all should be filled in and.
That's good that you're going out there and doing site inspections like throughout construction though. I mean, it's better to call that out now and.
Yeah, it's
And actually-
really cool out there. I mean, I'm like, this is a nice little area and it. And then we have, we're gonna try and involve DeWitt and Victor, to try and clean up the river from that area because that's really kind of
Right.
messy right
Now,
now.
when you say clean up, like, you're talking like
Major.
dredging, like, what do we, like,
There's tons of tree, you can't get down.
yeah.
in these
tree
areas.
falls.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's gonna take 3 different communities to work together to do it.
Hmm.
So, there's a retired. Some drain commissioner or something. And he wants to. Get all those 3 entities together, so there's a big area in DeWitt that's blocked. And then, I think near Babcock there is too, so.
They went to, 2 years back and went to the east of there.
They did, and it's all back.
Yeah,
yeah,
so I was gonna say,
It's all bad.
I can see it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that'll be key to. To really getting to use the boat launch,
Right.
getting that area cleared, I mean, we can get a drug path to DeWitt, that's huge. So,
That is huge.
yeah, and then, the Looking Glass. Group. Also is willing to work with us too, which they have from the very beginning, so.
Good.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting.
Super.
Another thing that brings people here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep, and that is a. Over 20-year. Project, like, when someone first brought it up. Like over 20 years, trying to get that done. So. Exciting, I mean, there was, the guy that, First brought it up was at, council. And I know it was over 20 years ago that brought it up and has been trying to get it, so.
They knew launch back then.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep.
I asked her name popped there.
Yeah. Yep,
Okay.
I'm like, I think it's cool, cause I've never gotten into the river like that, and I'm like, that'd be nice, and not have to, get in the water, try and get
Yeah.
into the thing.
Right. Right.
Like, that's very fancy.
know if there's leeches in it.
Yeah. Right, right now it's so low, you can see everything.
Oh,
Well, how do you folks feel? Are we ready to maybe start back on and get through the last part?
Try to make it quick.
We will, we will.
How can you guys see the map over there? Cause I can also pull it up on the screen too, and we can like zoom in if you guys can't really see it all that well.
I think this is pretty good.
Okay.
I got a big one here, what's, what they do with that right now? Got a big one in here.
Yep, you
You
also,
got us, yep.
Got mine right there, but
Can't hear hardly anything.
there. See, perfect.
There we go.
to hear it. Okay. So. We pulled together a draft future land use map, you know. Everything can still change. This is just to give you guys some ideas of future things you can do. Our basis for this was the zoning map, and then we made changes, you know. Still, we have some future development that could happen. We also changed up the categories a little bit, you know, to kind of match what we want to propose. And so in the packet we gave you guys, you have a sheet that says future land use discussion notes. And this kind of just lays out our ideas, and the numbers match the numbers we have on the map. So what I was gonna do is I'm just gonna start at number one and just kind of go down some ideas we have, and then at the end, if there's other things you guys think of, you know, more than happy to talk about it.
Also stop us too, if, as we're going through, if there's something you're like, that doesn't make sense, or you have an idea, just do it.
For sure. So, you know, in the survey and just kind of talking, we've heard a lot about housing and maybe the need for additional housing and just there not being a lot of areas currently available. So one of our goals was to kind of look at, you know, land within the city and maybe identify some areas where potentially, you know, if someone wanted to, more housing could be developed. So that's what these number ones are. Now, as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, some of these are, you know, currently agricultural lands. You know, someone would have to be willing to want to be done with that and, you know, develop residential. However, it gives some additional opportunities within the city to kind of build out if needed. So that was kind of our first thought, and just kind of wanted to get your ideas on it.
So anything that has a one on it, specifically, these would be for, these would be low density, correct?
Yep,
Yeah, Low
low
density, single family, so. Think about like the houses that are on West Street as you're coming off from Grand River heading to the north, larger lots than the platted city lots that are kind of like the older ones. The areas that are called out as one, we have the this Shoki Shuki property is one of them. We have this property is another, both of these here, actually. Now this, this questionable on the actual development of this, right? I mean, we've got a lot of wetland vegetation on here. This
Is that
might,
behind?
this is behind, Grand.
I
This-
think
this
that-
piece, Hitch.
That's between.
Uh,
That's between K's and the, Mike and Sons.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of deer trails.
Right. And if you're seeing this, and you say, man, there's, yeah, just to the north of lagoons. City owned piece right here. So both of these were called out as potential for single family development. And if you're seeing something here that you're like, wow, I really think that there's valuable like natural resource here, like we have zero interest in promoting additional residential development. This is the time to kind of call it out too.
Yeah, we can put it in a category, you know, I think we have one that's open space that, you know, currently we have your parks and rec land, and that we could definitely continue to add to as.
So from what I mean, from what I know about that property. is, I mean, other than the old railroad grade
Mhm.
and up towards Grand, I mean, this is all very, very
Wet.
wet.
Yeah.
Like, there would have to be a lot of work done to truly make that land
Into
buildable.
good buildable sites. Yeah, okay.
And the DNR is gonna fight on it.
Is it a fight you even want to have?
Yeah,
I mean,
right, yeah.
I think that you think about the natural resources that are here in the city. Trying to conserve good stuff that's undeveloped, and this seems like a good property that maybe we do just call out as
Space.
recreation. Open space, thank you. Not recreation, open space.
It has, the open space category has most of our city, parks.
City
and
parks are
recreation
in it.
Opportunities in it currently, but it can be all encompassing.
Anything that's called out on that map is green. That's what we're calling out as open space. The
I
lot,
always think of this parcel up here.
yeah,
This also might kind of pose similar challenges to the one that we just talked about.
it'd be this one right here.
This is another one where we could potentially, do some low density.
This is
residential.
behind, okay, this is pretty wet too, isn't it?
Very wet.
Yeah.
Very wet back here. And
It's kind of
And this one as
in
well.
between Meridian Road and West Street,
Yep,
right?
yeah, that's exactly right,
Yeah,
on the north side of the road.
Yeah.
Yep. It's. So maybe kind of keeping both of those as
As is.
as open space recreation. And the reason we see recreation, we're not necessarily saying that it needs to become a park, but we think about uses in the future that would conserve it and that, would allow, somebody to do something with it. Recreation makes sense. You can have wetlands and have trails and it'd be okay.
It's fair.
What are other ones, Faith?
Big one over on the eastern
So
side of the city.
just south of golf course here.
There's one home right on the corner, East Danbury.
Yeah, there's the northeast corner of,
Oh, this is, yeah,
Woodbury and
Yeah,
Grand.
farmland.
this is, well, this is actually
Oh,
for
it's the
sale.
Healthman property.
Yeah, there's,
This is for sale. It's
Yeah.
just very,
Really? I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
it's low, but it's
yeah,
not
it's,
wet.
it has, yeah, we don't have any sewer or anything, but,
Right.
running that way. So whoever does purchases. But
Well,
that's it, would,
And maybe this is, we could even come up with like our own category here because this doesn't have sewer. This is gonna be different than like, I think other parcels that could be developed a little bit smaller, right? Large lot residential with its own, well and septic out there. There's certain standards the health department are gonna need to see for setbacks from those, from a wellhead to a, drain field. So, typically, I can't remember, I think it's around a half acre. I think it's around a half acre in size. Which is still, that's a decent sized lot for a city, for the city.
I think they've got it in 3 different lots.
They're calling it 3 lots.
3 different, yeah, but they'd be pretty big.
Those are huge for
Yeah.
the city. Well, I think that definitely. I would be interested to just kind of see what the land division history looks like, that looks like out there too, to see how many splits they have left, but. I guess what I'm trying to say is our low density residential that we have called out right now is more like. It's more like. Newer subdivision. Versus, really large lot, like newer subdivision that's hooked up into public sewer. Versus really large lot residential that would maybe have its own its own private system. So maybe we could call that out as something separate and say, hey, these are large lots. These would be for, it typically, higher dollar probably too, like your more luxury home development would be on those half acre to acre size lots. You're still within the city, so you get all of the services that come with that, close access to downtown.
How many acres are there?
Oh, yeah. As long as they didn't put it behind a paywall, which I don't think the county has done that yet. 57, that's a lot. That's the big boy. What do we have here? And it doesn't have. No records found on the sale history. That's interesting. What is this one split off? It's done.
Well, they lived across the street. They bought that, so no one would build it.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
Then they moved, and so now they're like, sell it.
I don't know, how would you folks, I mean, in an ideal, like, the market's gonna dictate this, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, how would you folks feel about, a newer, large lot subdivision on the outskirts of town, right here? I think you're gonna have trouble with this stuff in the middle,
It's all,
right?
all swamp.
It's all swamp, but I think along the perimeter, I mean, you've got actively tilled land here. I think that, and I mean, Eagle is Eagle, they are challenging, but. Seems like there's certainly some area that could be
Better
developed.
locations that we have,
Mhm.
I think,
Right.
like large, big.
Right,
And you still probably got 30 acres there, not a little more of buildable.
right.
Well, and that could be a high-end feature is that there's a wetland in the middle.
Right.
There's
Right.
that one south by Mason.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I don't think we can do that in Langsford, but,
Right.
yeah.
It's a good idea, though. I mean, it's,
that-
and
Yeah,
what you could do too is, understanding that there's, like important natural features here. You could give the developer some flexibility on like lot size, on road frontage. If they kept a certain amount of the land in like community open space. Also too, we're butting right up to the golf course right here.
Yeah.
Like, man, wouldn't it be nice if there was maybe some connectivity?
the nature trail is right there.
Yeah.
You're on the nature trail.
Look at that. How cool would it be if Mr. Developer comes in and wants to put all kind of crazy stuff in here and the city says, okay, well, you can do that. Make sure you link up to the nature trail
Yeah.
and we can create some more public accessible, space here.
Yeah.
We'll let you do it.
Yeah.
It's an idea. We could certainly write something up for that too. That would be unique to that piece of property.
Yeah, I think that would be. You'd be preserving a natural space within the development, which would be
Yeah.
great.
So let's write that up, then Faith, for, so what we do with this, we kind of give you the rough shot ideas and then we'll come back with a prettier map and more specific, description for each one of these areas. So I think this would become a new type of residential. I don't know. We'll come up with some type of a name for it, like. I don't know. We'll come up with a new name for it.
When, is there enough area there to split it where, because you've got a lot more usable land down by Grand Rivers, it could be a little higher density until you got up to the wetland, then have a bigger. More premium lot that will have that natural wildlife viewing area.
Right. Yeah, it's in planning, they call that cluster development. So essentially the idea is that you would let them go smaller on lot sizes if they're gonna do individual lots there. If they're gonna keep a large portion of it in one lot and it's gonna be used for community purposes, so. I mean, we could even call it rural res cluster. Naturally, something like that.
And it's. Is it some of it farm?
It
Yeah,
looks
so
like
that-
it.
yeah.
I don't know when this imagery is from either. I mean, this might be old.
So I drive by them every night and I'm
Yeah.
usually watching deer. So
Right.
they've got some sort of,
Smart.
that's where they're all at.
Yeah,
It's a nice piece of land. I don't ever remember standing in water,
no,
but it does.
Yeah,
I mean,
always.
everything,
Yeah, it does
right?
look
Now, the golf
backward.
side, golf course side, you can see the lot.
Mhm.
yeah, so it's probably back.
Yeah.
Kind of up here. Yeah, Okay. You guys like that idea?
Yes.
Okay, number two, we talked about a little bit already today, but it's over here, it's that railroad piece of property. Right now it's called out as public, semi-public, understanding you're trying to do maybe housing there. I don't know, just trying to get your guys' ideas on if you want it to stay public, semi-public, or maybe change it to some sort of residential type use or get other ideas. Just understanding, all the marketing you guys can put into this space.
I mean, that's,
Seems like you're getting closer to a deal on something, maybe. Maybe.
Since
Yeah.
days ago, we would have said yes.
Right.
Now it's maybe.
yeah.
I guess here's a better question. Do you think that this property, you will stop actively trying to market that property for multifamily at any point? Like, would you be open to using it for other things? Or do you for surely want to make sure you call that out as this is our spot for new multifamily development?
I would like to talk to C2AE, get their honest opinion on the suitability of it for single family homes. There's a drastic grade change. on that
Yeah, I think
property.
their opinion would be not as many houses. If you were gonna put housing, they would be like, why you don't have to put that back in? If you wanted to have, like you said, 8 houses in there, and we can only go back so far because of the wetland.
Yeah,
So, cause originally that was for 32 houses and they were gonna go all the way back.
Yeah.
And they can't do that, so,
You guys
That
did
properties.
there was a formal delineation done?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's good. Yeah, this is the
Which I
Eagle
don't like,
wetland.
they
map.
wouldn't wanna be back there by the lagoons.
Yeah, probably not. But, yeah, I just want to bring this up to show you guys, I mean, this is certainly a factor for the city. This is the Eagle Wetland Mapper, and what they do is they take aerial imagery and they identify they identify the vegetation up there, and they look at the soil type, and they say, well, this is either soil areas that have hydric soils, wetland soils, or it's on an official wetland map, or both. So this is a guide. You show this to a developer and they'll have a heart attack. But
Yeah, you can see right there is where they ended that division, so that's right where it would have went back
Mhm,
if we would have done the original 32. Now,
yeah. And if there's a will, there's a way. You can still use wetland for development purposes. You just have to pay to, you have to pay the fee to
restore.
restore somewhere else, right? So,
and that's kind of Todd's back, I think, too, is considered wetland. I don't know, how could it be? People talked about developing that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would cost so much money.
Where at?
Hogsback, which is right past that whole area right there where it's pretty much trees and it drops.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about now.
Yeah, it would be like,
kind of. Here's the school.
park, so.
The vet's on the corner, right?
Well, this is the school, right?
Yeah.
So
So it would be, yeah, it'd be right here.
Yeah. It just means they need to get a formal delineation done. And depending on what time of year you get that done, there's gonna be different results, so people want you to do it in the spring. But.
Stay tuned.
So. Yeah, I mean, as of now, so, and Faith had mentioned we use the zoning map as the base for this. Because we could not find a future land use. The current future land use map. Do you have a copy of that?
I think I asked you, so.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we used.
Yeah, I remember it back in the day, it was pretty comparable to the zoning map.
I was gonna say,
It's
it looks
pretty-
about like that.
It's pretty comparable to the zoning map. So, I mean, I don't think that the property, you don't wanna call this property out as public, semi-public. I mean, it's owned by the city, it's owned by the city, but you're actively trying to get this developed for some type of residential use, right? So I think it's really a question, to me, it seems like it's really a question of the density.
Well, according to them, density would have fit into our normal. Zoning because they were using the offset from the wetland as part of the
Yeah.
parcel where they. They were saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that they were smaller lots, but the people had access to the wetland as a.
Oh, that makes sense.
So,
That makes total sense.
yeah,
Yep. Okay. I think it just comes down to how we define that density too. So, but you wanna get. I mean, it sounds like you wanna get as many units out of this land as possible. Is that kind of the goal or no?
What was their goal? That's their goal, I
Yeah.
should say.
Well, and I think that we had a common interest in that at some point along the way with trying to. Being where it is right in the downtown district, having as many people as we could.
Yeah,
Right,
supporting the
in walking
downtown.
distance to
And
that
the,
area.
And-
bedrooms, so you figure you're gonna have 1 to 2 kids, it's next to the school.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of positives.
yeah, and the rental part, I mean, even though, housing is all over. What we see personally in this office is rentals. People
Yeah.
want rentals.
Yeah.
I mean, we rarely have somebody come and say, hey, is there a house for sale out there? It's rentals. Is there some place to rent? And they want a list of all the people that rent in the
Really?
community, so. We see that rentals are like what everybody wants. What's everyone looking for? And you go on Facebook, same thing,
Right.
they're asking anybody,
For rentals.
yeah.
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 Oh. That's good to know.
And as far as I know, the people that own the rentals here in town. I can't name one that's not turned their rental around the minute that person's out there, somebody in it, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I know one place had 50 applications, so. And it wasn't
Shows
even
how
everything
much
in
demand.
town.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's, yeah.
So, I mean, all that said, at a certain point, we've gone through everything to. Prove this as a viable residential
Yeah.
land, right? Let's put something in there instead of look at it blank on a map,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, can you do like a low, medium density, or is that a thing?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I think that. It's not
Yeah.
high.
yeah,
Right. I mean, even like we just talked about the Hickner property over there, I mean. We could come up with its own little description for this site. I mean, it's a city-owned site. We know a lot about the site, so we could certainly come up with like. Desired uses, density, all of that type of thing. I mean, that's the fun part about future land use. So let's maybe do that, Faith. Let's just do that as its own. I'm gonna go back to one real quick, because I don't think we've quite finished up all of the different residential properties. Let's go to the north. Let's go to this piece right here. The Watson piece. Fronts both Shiawassee and Woodbury. We have, it is definitely not 1 acre. It says 1 acre, but that's not, there's no way that's true. Was that? Clicking on the right thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely not the right property description either, so.
That's a huge piece of property.
Yeah. And I think it's really both of these. All right, this one's 4.5 acres, so if that just gives you any context here, this is a much more substantial piece of property.
They had lots for sale as of last
Did
year, right on Shiawassee.
This was another piece that I think we had called out as a low density opportunity. It just makes sense for infill development.
is this? Right here, this is Shiawassee,
Yes,
isn't that, did he sell that,
They took the sign down.
well, but that's a different name,
Oh, maybe they did.
cause that's Healthman, not the other one, but, He was the one who always came in and wanted us to repave Shiawassee. And he had bought that property and then had it for sale. And that one also doesn't have sewer,
Mhm.
but
No,
that is
no,
not,
property.
that's not the name that was, so.
I think there's something wrong with this one, actually. I think this is like a contact county GIS to check into it. Cause and
I didn't realize how big that was.
yeah,
I didn't realize how far back it went.
property description's wrong, the acreage is wrong, and the assessed value is definitely. So.
Yeah, that's,
we'll have
I
to
know
check
the
into
name
that.
starts with an H. Huffman.
Is it Elfman?
And I think when they were listing it, they had it divided, because
Yes,
Lisa's sister and brother-in-law looked at purchasing. one
they
of
had
those
3
ones.
different signs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well. Yeah, I mean, regardless of ownership, though, we feel like this is likely gonna be developed as single family in the future, right?
I don't know why you'd buy it if you weren't.
Right, exactly, yeah, exactly.
Don't buy it.
Now, this is another one that you said that we do not have sewer out
No.
here either, okay.
No, but right around the corner they do, so they, you know, I mean, it's not too far, but. You know, it's a cost.
Yeah. Okay, so they could potentially extend it out there,
Yeah,
okay.
it's right on the corner.
yeah, the. Yeah, that's where the last house is that,
Oh, so they could absolutely extend that.
Yeah.
Um. So, and I think that that's something when you're doing this, you're talking about future land use. Maybe you offer that flexibility and say that if the developer is willing to pay for the extension of city utilities, that they can get reduced lot sizes because of that. Density bonus for investment in the city, pretty much.
Well, if they're gonna cover the infrastructure to build roads or branch or whatever we're gonna do, yeah, that would be.
Go back to this one too. I asked the question because some communities we talk to say, I don't care how much they're putting into it. You know, we really want to make sure that this is not going to get overbuilt. You know, this stays, in this type of character for the foreseeable future. And that's what we really care about more so than attracting investment. Now, it's a flavor of your community type of a thing. And we can write it up however you want.
What is our minimum lot size right now for a new build?
I don't know,
I just looked.
Never
at it the
even-
other day.
sure I've read it a million times, but it's sinking like that.
I never, no, because I was looking through zoning stuff. It was smaller than I thought.
Yeah, I can pull it up here while we're continuing to look, but. Let's see here. So RO should be our like largest, to be like the equivalent of like our ag district, pretty much. 3 acres. RL, 15,000 square feet, big difference there. So, yeah, major difference there.
Yes, I mean, that's all right. I was
Yeah.
just curious because
Yeah.
asking for a density bonus, I mean, it's the minimum lot size. Already is 15,000 square feet. That's pretty low.
Right, now, but what we could do is to say that because this is future land use, so this isn't gonna be exactly, match up with your zoning, like we could say that. These areas that we've called out in, on this piece and this piece. If they provide an extension to city sewer. It would more align with RL and you can develop at 15,000 square foot lots. If you do not, then it's RO and it's 3 acres. Or
That
you
would
could,
be, the benefit, it would also, if those areas get developed, both of those are stretches of road that we don't have sidewalk, that we're trying to get sidewalk out to, so
Yeah,
that would be a natural fit there too.
Yep, absolutely.
we like that? Okay. Let's make sure we do that. I'm looking at you, Faith, like you're just catching everything. I'm taking some notes too. It's not all you. I'm gonna keep moving along. Just trying to be conscious of time. This piece right here is another one that we've called out as one. Right adjacent to the school. We've got. It's a 14-acre piece of land. Elm and Prospect are the crossroads here. It doesn't look super wet, and Eagle would agree. Yeah, what do we think about this one for like a more traditional subdivision, single family?
I wonder why they keep letting rid of these pieces of property. Like, because they're so random. Like, why did you decide to keep that?
Maybe holding out for some cash.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Would be the time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. It backs up to another very traditional subdivision. so.
Absolutely. To me, this one just makes sense. This is like, I think less of a unique descriptor. This is our traditional subdivision development.
Well, yeah, and wasn't the original plans were to connect that subdivision to the one on West Street?
And that very well could have been.
Like go behind the
Yeah.
schools and they were gonna try and
Right.
meet those up. I've heard that story. To that one, yeah.
This one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, look at that. It's just.
Yeah.
That did not go as planned.
Yeah, like they were gonna, that's what they were gonna do, but I just heard that story.
Perfect area, right by the elementary school.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
goes right behind
It's-
the, yeah.
Yep, absolutely it is. Okay.
Okay, moving on, our number 3 down here, I know we have some existing commercial. We were kind of talking about entrances to the city and, earlier in our discussion, and it brings up the question of
Eyesore.
what we want to do with it. I mean, understanding, this is probably never gonna change. Or it would be a long time in the future, but we have this other stretch of land here called out as commercial that looks to be fairly undeveloped right now.
This,
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah, this piece.
so I guess the question is, is that something you truly want to maybe be commercial, or, would it make more sense to be something else? Residential, or just maybe even keeping natural and doing like a
Yeah. A
natural,
corridor type of a thing.
yeah, sure.
When I think about, but. Yeah, I think this is more the question of like, we know this isn't gonna change. This is gonna stay here for a long time. They sell the property, they're gonna be able to continue that non-conformity. This is a non-conforming use, but. We can, with the future land use map, encourage certain things. We butt right up to this. Big wetland piece that. I think everybody felt pretty confident that this should probably stay recreation. And we could call this out as the same. It's like, what happens if this property is, it just is just discontinued? What would you want what would you want to happen right here?
Not that to come back.
Why we're trying to plan for it.
Yeah,
And keep in mind, this, what you decide here does not change what they're doing. And you can think about it too. You don't have to have an answer to this today, but
I like the idea of making that, keeping that green space as you come into town, because I don't know how buildable it would be for low density residential.
right.
if you think about even
Well,
these two right here, there's a pretty good.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Drop.
Yeah, drop
right
off
after
right there.
where it's.
there's not much of a yard after.
Yeah.
Good sledding hill.
Yeah.
I,
I'm not sure why it was put into. Maybe in the hopes of something going in there at some point, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I think, yeah, Faith is bringing us back, is really we're just talking about this piece,
Yeah,
this piece, and this piece. We've got existing commercial uses here. This is just undeveloped. if you're thinking about it from the perspective of like a gateway into the city, I think the recommendation would probably be to say, call it as recreation space.
Yeah,
Mhm.
comfortable with that.
It's good with that.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know that it's gonna be a building site, and most places that I know are trying to get rid of their asphalt buildings because of environmental implication of keeping the site.
Yep.
I don't know if it's just Shiawassee County, but
Yeah. There's, well, and I feel like with that stuff, like it's more of a temporary use. I feel like you're finding this like kind of like right next to like whatever stretch of interstate that they're redoing, like somebody's trying to put, concrete asphalt crushing, like pretty close proximity to the highway. They keep it there for like a couple of years. They spread it, they sell their material, they reclaim it, and then they go. Like that's, I feel like a little bit more typical recently, but I mean, this is a contractor yard, just depends on the kind of jobs you get to get, so. Anyways,
Okay, moving on. Number 4, we have this collection of city-owned parcels right over here. And
it goes down to this one, correct, Babe?
Yep.
City,
yeah, it's
yes,
upstairs.
this one,
Yep,
this
and
one.
then those triangles. And I think the question here is, I mean, these are all city-owned parcels. I mean, I know it provides some connection down into the water treatment over here. But, I mean, there's opportunity for additional recreation space, maybe some sort of trail. I mean, just being visionary. Again, I don't know with the water treatment, but like, this is all city-owned, potentially, I don't know. Trail around, or even if we just do, you could do trail in these parcels, just trying to provide some additional recreation opportunities. We heard, I feel like, quite a bit about, trails and non-motorized transportation in the survey, and just logistically trying to think where that could maybe happen.
And you got undeveloped land, right? I mean, I
Yes.
think this is it's city-owned, it's undeveloped. Yes, this is wastewater treatment. We totally understand that. You're gonna have to keep some type of an enclosure barrier there, but I mean, there's a lot of wetland area over here too, and you butt up to the river.
Yeah,
I
water
mean,
access.
just kind of thinking about it from like a very long-term perspective. Maybe you would want to entertain the idea of having a nature trail on this, that connects you from downtown, that takes you around.
And you have that old railroad right away right there too, that, I mean, I don't know who owns that currently, but maybe trying to do some sort of easement off of that.
I think it's,
Our old mayor,
I mean,
he owns that. Yep. Well, plus we also, knew once we get the kayak launching, there might be potential for, some grants
yeah,
for trips.
100%. Especially if you can get to some like type of water connectivity, I mean, you get a ton of points from that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's not like you'd be having to secure a ton of easements with private property owners. It is city owned.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
there's
what
a
we're
way
just
to
thinking.
do
We
it.
were originally thinking, to connecting it to the Beavers Trail. But there's a lot of
There's just so
kitty
much.
there.
There's so much in between it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the larger plan, and that could even be a goal for your recreation portion here and for your next rec plan.
Yeah.
Is to develop some type of a city trail plan.
Right. Yeah. Which would be
an idea.
great, because I know that's what we had hoped for, that maybe a grant would come along for that.
Right.
Yep, so those are just some ideas. I don't know what your feelings are for those, but just trying to think outside the box a little.
I leave it out there as a change of use, and then, yeah, we're getting grant to develop trails, that'd be something to look at.
Consider it again. Okay. Great. I think it's just 5 now, right?
Yeah, so we have a couple,
We have a couple.
we have a couple areas here for 5 that are currently called out as this low density. If we wanted, these areas could make sense to maybe up in density and do this more medium density. It's this orange color. But just in the context of this, it just means, smaller lot sizes, kind of more typical of, your traditional kind of residential neighborhood you have going on.
Yeah, and I think even going a little bit further, Faith, it would probably be more like, think of like these size lots, but allowing some duplexes.
So I think that I think that the one off of Shiawassee Street. Maybe it was that one. I think that it was one of those two plots that are called out there. Excuse me. It was a long time ago, but somebody had presented a whole site plan for doing a tiny house community.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a great spot for it.
Maybe it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can't imagine Tim doing that.
Where was that?
We nobody touched that land, I'm pretty sure.
It had to
He's
have
trying to
been-
get that joined to his property
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who is?
Tim. Lynn.
Tim.
Okay.
I don't remember when that was. It had to have been.
Where do you think it was? Off of,
Is it the field off Shiawassee?
Yeah, I think. No, not up there. It was one of the, it wasn't a huge lot that they had presented it.
there's no way Tim would
I
have.
got it. Oh, no, not the.
Dollar sign money.
But a lot of dollar signs. And I'm not sure he'd still do
He
it.
still would, he would divide that off. 'Cause he
Yeah.
wants no one to have any access to his property.
Okay.
Yeah, he wouldn't mind anyone abutting to that in the property.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason we called out, we've got an existing, multifamily development right here.
Which, didn't his dad own that property and sold it out? Yeah. For that Deerwood subdivision.
I think at one point.
They did like own
yeah,
that whole,
like that whole corridor.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Cause Looking Glass Terrace was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, that, one area too that's owned by Mahoney. Which I don't know where the property line is on that, that's behind my house.
I'm sorry, what was the street?
It's Green River, it's like,
I think as long as, I call it medium density, I just don't think any ever happen.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be here, I believe,
this one right here. It's a big piece.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one that we thought about calling out as single family
Yeah.
or single family development.
Yeah, he just had it surveyed, but was told that it's surveyed for his kids, so they would have to do it when they
Yeah,
die.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
I see, hold on to it.
I
Yeah,
don't know, so, cause I think Shooky farms it,
yeah, that's right. So you're leasing it, yeah.
so, I mean, I don't know. He's one of those guys that saves all his money for his kids to have.
Mhm.
And then they'll
Yeah.
they'll die and they'll sell it.
Yep. That does happen. It does happen.
Yep. I
Yeah.
know that's been talked about, doing a subdivision back there.
Subdivision back,
Yeah.
yeah, this
Yeah.
makes sense, right? These are large lots.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I feel like, we call this out. It just, you think about character, there's a potential here. And we would make sure that to call it out in the future land use where, if it's adjacent to existing, developed single family, neighborhoods, that there'd be proper buffering, that there'd be, consideration of that. We'll make sure to call that out, but I think you have to consider some additional types of higher density here,
yeah.
because just given the demographic shift that's happened, given the survey results, like, and just hearing what you're saying, Kim, about, calls to the city about rentals, like, people want more rental units here. What's a good sensible way to do that that doesn't really affect, you're being considered property values?
Right. Well, that was kind of the one good thing about the new development was that they were homes, they were individual homes, they're 4 bedrooms, they weren't apartments,
Right.
I
I think that's it.
That's what I have for you, unless there's other pieces that you see as problematic or wanna have ideas for.
Do you want to just walk them through just real briefly? Like, I mean, probably should have started with this, but the color coding here on the map, it's yeah, go ahead.
So our yellows and oranges are all residential. Yellow is your lowest density residential, and as you get darker, you get to higher density residential. Our blue is all our like public, semi-public land, so land owned by the city or the school district. minus the recreation, like the parks or the golf course and the cemeteries. Those are pulled out in their own category. That's green. Downtown we have is this darker, it'll be a darker red color. I had to make it more of like a brown so you could see it when it was printed on this map, but it'll be a darker red. And then the lighter red is our just general commercial type uses.
And I think the only thing that we really didn't get into tonight, and I know we're done, we've gone over 2 hours, so I am so sorry.
I'm sorry.
What we did not get into was just discussion about these commercial lots over here. In that our description for the future land use is gonna talk about flexibility with zoning. We're gonna talk about adaptive reuse of these properties. We've got existing sites. We want a developer to come in and do something with these. So, it's gonna be very pitted towards this specific area. And making sure that we try to encourage those types of uses that we got from the survey. That's it. That's all I got for you. Awesome, just that. Yeah,
Oh, you're
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Is anybody taping the game? No, I'm serious. Because, well, Lions are up 7-0.
Oh, good.
Any other items
If you're taping,
anybody wanted to discuss?
no,
Cool.
I make a motion, we during the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience tonight, folks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for dinner.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
thank you.